It's not going to be a long khatara. Alhamdulillah, alladhi alama bil qalam, alama al-insana ma lam ya'lam, wa salatu wa salamu ala jami' al-kalim. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he was never told by Allah Azza wa Jal to ask more of anything, ziyada of anything except ilm. رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, you know. So we should always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in knowledge. Usually every single day, you know, there's some heavy topics, hadith, ayat. Today I have a very light-hearted story that takes place between a teacher and a student. Takes place between Imam Abu Hanifa and his student Qaadi Abu Yusuf. Short story, it's very sweet. Abu Hanifa's student, Abu Yusuf, one time he fell sick. And so, he would go and frequently visit him. And one time when he visited him, he noticed that he was in a, he was passed out. He was in a very, very harsh state, thaqeel. Very heavy state. And, Abu Hanifa, he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, assuming that, he was going to pass away. He said, I was hoping that after I pass away and after I leave, that you would take my place as the Imam for the believers, and that you could take place and teach, and take my place of teaching the masses. And by you dying, it will be a huge loss for the people because of how much, ilm would go with you. And so Abu Hanifa left, and Abu Yusuf, he was given afiyah and he was given suhha after that. And so he was told by someone that this is what your teacher Abu Hanifa said about you whilst you were in that state. And then he became very happy, and as a student, but he was sort of delusional in the sense of how much he had in terms of ilm. And so Abu Yusuf, instead of attending Abu Hanifa's halaqat of ilm, he assumed that now, alhamdulillah, I have ilm myself. So he set up his own halaqah where he would start to teach fiqh and do ifta and whatnot. And Abu Hanifa was now made aware that, look, his student, now he's starting his own halaqah, that he's doing all of these things. And so Abu Hanifa, he's like, oh, now, let me test him. So what? He told a man to go ask him a question. He told the man, ask him this question and see what my student tells you. Okay? The question is, and I want everyone to pay attention to this question. Okay? I'm going to see if you guys can answer it. I'm pretty sure nobody's going to be able to answer it. The question is, imagine, a scenario. If a person has a piece of a cloth, a t-shirt, for example, and he takes it and he is going to a person or whose business is in dyeing clothes. He's a dyer, right? He's a dyer of clothes. He either changes the color of it or he bleaches it. He does those things. Okay, and so he says, tell Abu Yusuf that imagine a man, he agrees with a dyer. For example, I agree with Salahuddin. I am the person that is going to him. He's the dyer. I have this cloth. We agree that you will dye this piece of clothing for 1 dirham. Okay, me and him, we agree that we are going to, that he's going to dye my piece of cloth, my t-shirt, for example, for a dirham. And a few days later, as to our agreement, I come back to Salahuddin, the dyer of clothes. And he tells me, you never gave me such thing. You never gave me this. You never gave me anything. And then he goes and he leaves because he's not giving it. And a few days later, he comes back and he's like, come on, man, like, Ya Salah, can you please give me my clothes? I gave you my clothes, give it to me. We agreed that 1 dirham and then he would dye my clothes. And then he said, khalas. And then he goes and then he gives me my cloth that he dyed. So the question is, since he lied the first time, is he deserving of the money or no? I want to hear answers. Does anybody know? Anybody know? Guess. Is Salah now deserving? Do you guys get the scenario? Yes or no? Is Salah deserving of the money that we agreed upon? Yes? No, that's not the answer. Khata. So that's why Abu Hanifa went and tested Abu Yusuf by sending this guy to him. What's the answer then? أخطأت كمان. There's tafsil in this mas'ala. No, so there's tafsil. So Abu Hanifa, he wanted to test his student, and then Abu Yusuf, he was shocked. He's like, wow, I don't know the answer to this, right? And he told this man to go and ask him this question, say akhtat, akhtat, and then just leave. And Abu Yusuf, now he's like, now I need to know. So he went back to his teacher, Abu Hanifa, and he told him, he said, nothing, I know the reason you're here. You're only here because of that dyer, the question of the dyer. And he said, yes, alimni ya Imam. He said, teach me ya Imam. And then he told him, before telling him, he said, you took a position of fatwa and teaching when you were still, there's a saying, I'll say it after, but he tells him, the answer is that if the dyer had dyed your clothes and done the work prior to him lying to you, then that means his niyyah was that it was for you. So then you pay him. If the first time I came to you and then you lied to me and you said that I don't have anything, you didn't give me anything, if you already did the amal before that, then you are deserving of it because your niyyah was that for me. But after you lied and you did ghasab and you stole it and then you did the work, then that means that the niyyah is that you did that work for yourself and then you changed it later on and then you wanted to give it to me. If you did that work, if you dyed the clothes before lying, then he is deserving of the ajr. And if he did it after, then he is not deserving of the ajr because at that point he did it on wealth that he stole, not on wealth or not on a piece of cloth that you had given him with the intention of him working it for you. You understand the difference? And then he told him a very famous saying. This is mentioned in Tarikh Baghdad. This saying, تَزَبَّبْتَ قَبْلَ أَن تَتَحَصْرَمْ. تَزَبَّبْتَ, you became a raisin, or you thought you were a raisin before you were a hisram or hasram. قَبْلَ أَن تَتَحَصْرَمْ, which means that you thought you were a raisin, but you're not even a grape yet. You thought you were a raisin because to become a raisin, first you have to become a grape. First it's like the grape is not ripe. First it has to become ripe, and then it becomes a inab, and then after the inab it becomes a zabib, it becomes a raisin. So he told him that you became a raisin before you were even a grape. So it's a saying, تَزَبَّبْتَ قَبْلَ أَن تَتَحَصْرَمْ. So I thought that was a very interesting story. And from this, we could take something that we should not hurry and rush towards things. We should give it its time. مَنْ تَعَجَّلَ بِشَيْءٍ مَنْ تَعَجَّلَ شَيْئًا, what's that saying? مَنْ تَعَجَّلَ شَيْئًا قَبْلَ أَوَانِهِ عُوقِبَ بِحِرْمَانِهِ. That if someone rushes to get something before its designated time, then he will be prevented from achieving that thing. So take your time, especially when it comes to seeking knowledge. And beyond that, you should not take roles and positions that you are not yet qualified for. And that's why you should have a shaykh and a murabbi that can guide you towards the pathway of learning. Someone who doesn't know how to read Quran, why would he expect to go and learn qira'at? I know some of the students, they become very passionate. They're like, oh, shaykh is reading with the qira'at and salah, let me start reading the qira'at too. No. تَزَبَّبْتَ قَبْلَ أَن تَتَحَصَّرْ. You have to take it one step at a time before, so that you can achieve it, inshallah, with given time. وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَى نَبِيِّنَا مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَصَحْبِهِ أَجْمَعِينَ.